Man, it's cold out today. It is like 28 degrees out here. It's very wintry. You can see up here we've got some snow, got some ice behind me. It's feeling like winter here in the Northeast. Today we're taking a look at the Insta360 1R again because I posted a video a couple of days ago. You may have seen that. I'll link it up here if you haven't. And in that video, I showed off the stabilization of the Insta360 1R with the 1-inch module. And when I used the 1-inch module on the Insta360 1R, I didn't get great stabilization. So after I posted my review, Insta360 actually reached out to me and asked a few questions to see if I was using this thing the right way. Turns out I may have made a few mistakes in that video. So today we're out here again and we're going to test the Insta360 1R with the new settings and see if we get better results. And just so you know what I'm looking at here, this is how I have the two cameras mounted. They're both on the same selfie stick, so should be a legit comparison. Right now we're shooting 4K 24p on both the GoPro Hero 9 Black and the Insta360 1R. Also, this is all an abandoned cemetery. It's kind of creepy. Right now I'm just handheld, I'm just walking at a casual pace. Now I'm gonna run a little bit. This is my typical trail running that I would be doing, and the stabilization probably is kicking in by now, I hope, because I'm certainly not stable. And I know the GoPro does a good job because I've used it and it looks like it's floating. But how's the Insta360 1R right now? Now I'm intentionally shaking the cameras. I mean, I look ridiculous. My hand's like a piece of spaghetti, kind of flopping around with the cameras in my hand. So both cameras are probably struggling with this one. I know the GoPro would probably be showing some shaking by now. Oh, I'm about to slip and fall on my face because this trail is all ice and I'm not wearing the right footwear for this. Okay, that's probably enough test footage. My hands are freezing. I forgot gloves. Let's go back to the studio and check out this footage and see how the Insta360 1R does. Take 2. Man, I gotta remember to turn the heat on in here. I wanna let you know that the knocking sound that you heard in the video, all of that footage, was because I had the cameras mounted on this rig and they were actually bumping each other. So I think the Insta360 1R was picking that up a lot more than the GoPro because the microphone's right here. So ignore that. Okay, so we're back in the studio and I just edited the first half of this video so I was able to look through all the footage and compare them side by side. And I gotta say, the Insta360 1R does have much better stabilization than I originally thought. And it's really weird because I thought I had it set up correctly the first time around, but apparently I did something wrong. And I used it like this for several days. It wasn't just one time that I went out. I recorded multiple clips several days in a row and all of them were pretty shaky. So let me show you what I did to fix this issue because maybe that would help some of you out there that have this camera. It's not really an issue. I think it's just a feature that I didn't quite understand. All right, so first off, I went ahead and reset all of my settings. I put it back to factory default. I didn't change anything. When I got the device, I took it out of the box and I just started filming. I didn't do anything else. And that was my mistake. I should have updated the firmware. So after I paired it with my phone and I was able to go through all my footage, I realized there was a firmware update and the firmware that I was originally using was pretty old. So I think that was the cause of most of my problems with the stabilization, but I'm not totally sure. So after I reset my settings, I also toggled a couple of other options. First up is Pro mode. Now my original firmware didn't actually have Pro mode. It just had basic mode, and it had the option to turn on and off flow state stabilization. This new firmware has Pro mode. I don't know if this firmware is even new, but it's new to me. And in Pro mode, you get flow state stabilization along with internal stabilization in the camera. So it's really stable. In basic mode, you only get in-camera stabilization. And I think that's what I was getting for the first few times I used this camera. And that basic stabilization isn't very powerful, so you'll definitely have some shake in your footage. So you wanna make sure you're in Pro mode because everyone's a pro these days. The difference here is in basic mode, the camera will actually spit out a regular MP4 file, so you're able to drop it on Facebook or do whatever you want with it right away. Whereas in Pro mode, you get a INSV file, which is a proprietary file for Insta360 cameras, and you have to post-process those files in order to convert them to something usable. So basic mode is still pretty valuable if you want to file right away. The other thing I did, and I'm not sure if it actually helped or anything, but I calibrated the gyro in the camera, and that's done in the settings. You can see an option here. It says gyro calibration. This will ask you to place your camera vertically on a tabletop and then swipe down to start the process. Once it's calibrated, it should improve your stabilization if you're having issues with it. So yeah, that's really it. I updated the firmware, I went into Pro mode, and I reset the gyro. That said, the GoPro Hero 9 Black still has a slight advantage with that horizon leveling. You saw in that piece of footage where I was twisting the camera around that the GoPro Hero 9 Black was keeping that horizon stable, where the Insta360 1R was trying, but it couldn't quite get there. Still though, the images coming out of the Insta360 1R are really top-notch, really sharp detail, really high resolution. You get the added benefit of it being really good in low light. And now that I know the stabilization is pretty good, it's definitely going to be one of my go-to cameras for action sports. I also want to mention that Insta360 is running a deal on the 1R right now. It's actually 15% off on all of the bundles. So there's a really good deal to be had there, especially because you can bundle it with the 360 mod that I have here, and this thing's a ton of fun. If you're interested in checking that out, I do have links down in the description. Those links do help support my channel, but they cost nothing extra to you. If you made it to the end of this video, you might want to hit that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up down below if you found it helpful. And yeah, it's just a quick update video for the Insta360 1R because I didn't want to leave a bad taste in your mouth from my last video. That's all I've got for today. I'll see you in the next one.